Hey everybody, it's Stella Jones, your sassy paranormal romance author, and welcome back. Today I wanted to talk about special tips and ideas that I want to share with my fellow indie authors, or if you're a traditional author who takes on a lot of the responsibility of branding and marketing. So hey everybody, it's Stella Jones. So today I really wanted to talk to my fellow indie authors. And if you're a different type of creator or you're a traditional author and you're responsible for a lot of the branding, marketing, distribution, or however involved you are in the process of getting your name out there, I wanted to share what I've learned so far as an indie author. And I've been publishing for about 6 years now, and I have 4 published works. I have one full length novel, my first published work, A Human Story, and then 4 stories, which is a collection of novellas and very short stories. And then my origin stories, volume 1 and volume 2. The Secret of a Valentine's Desire and Summer Solstice. And I wanted to talk about from beginning to end how I've started in terms of the evolution of introducing myself as a writer to the book loving community, and then how I worked and gone about marketing, branding, and things of that nature. To be honest with you, from the very beginning, once I had my first published work, A Human Story, I thought about how do I want to introduce myself to the world? And so the first thing I did was I commissioned a logo. And I really want to thank Dina Jackson for not only helping me with the logo, but also helping me with final formatting of the book, creation of the cover, and things of that nature. She was just instrumental in getting that out there. So if you guys can take a look here at my logo, I really wanted something that relayed that, number one, there's a lot of fun and intrigue. And as you can see from the silhouette of the woman and her sitting in front of her laptop, and all the way to my signature, Stella Jones, that I wanted to convey, I wanted to lure you in. The other thing is I wanted the colors to pop, but also have a little bit of intrigue. So I usually use the hot pink and black, as you can see here, but I also have another one that has like a white, light pink, and a little bit of purplish, and I'll show that here as well. And so as soon as I started branding myself and introducing myself as an author to the social media and digital realm, I made sure that my logo is infused in all of my works. So if you open up to the inside cover of my book where I introduce myself, who is Stella Jones, you can see here at the end that also there's my logo. And so whether it's on my website or my social media addresses, you can see here all of my different social media handles. I always try and incorporate my logo so that if somebody sees my work somewhere, or if it's just a music and copy of some of my work, that I always have that logo so you know, this is a Stella Jones project. And I recommend that you all do that. Logo, your colors, the font that you use is consistent through all of these platforms, so that as soon as somebody sees it, they know whether you've started talking or not, or whether they said, hey, this is Stella Jones, that as soon as they see your logo, that as soon as they see your color palette, they know that the likelihood is that it's you, and they get trained into recognizing your color palette, your fonts, your logo associated with your brand. It's really, really been helpful. If I go, like I went to the library, I'm sorry, not the library, the post office this morning to ship something for a different entrepreneurial path that I have. And the gentleman behind the counter said, oh, are you here to ship off more of your books? Because they remembered my PR box. They remembered um, my logo. They remembered that I had such a large volume that I had to ship off the last time I was there. So people will start to recognize you when I do library events in here locally, or if I do local festivals where I have a table. People are like, Stella Jones, do you have a new book out? So people will start to identify the brand and they'll be looking for you. The other thing is, I did a book event last week, and some of the other independent authors asked me about social media and branding, because they know, if you look here, my table displays are pretty elaborate. And people remember that. They ask, do I have new books out? They ask what different type of merch I have. So I try and make sure that I'm forward and expressive with my brand identity, because it really, really makes a difference. And all of these points that I'm talking about, I could talk an hour on each of these points, but I just want to make sure that you guys, when you're thinking about branding yourself, because as an independent author, you are a marketing machine, you are your brand identity. So remember that in everything, every post that you make, your website. And let's talk about my website. So if you see here, stellajonesauthor.com, that's consistent across all of my brands, across all of my digital marketing. So TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest, all of these different platforms, Stella Jones Author. So if somebody's like, I can't really remember her website, but I remember that this was the tag for whatever, they can put that in, and invariably it's going to lead back to my brand, Stella Jones Author. So have something simple, something that people can remember, and that they can start to identify with your logo, your color palette, etc. It has really made a world of difference. And I have evolved as over this last 6 years. So you can see here with my different bookmarks that I have, with the website, all of these things have a common theme, a color palette, etc. So that once again, people can identify those things with my brand. And so think about that. What resonates with you? Because when you put this out to the world, it has to vibe with you. You have to feel comfortable in that color palette, in whatever your mission statement is. So when I come on, I say, hey guys, it's Stella Jones, your sassy paranormal romance author. That tells you a lot about me. And I think it also reflects in my logo, in my color palette, and what I try and relay to the world. And that's really how I feel. So when I come across and I say that to you, a lot of people, it resonates, because that's my attitude and my aesthetic when I come and I do presentations online, when I do book readings, etc. The other thing is invest in great things that reflect your brand. So if you see here in this picture, I have on my table, like that I use for events, you can see that I have a pretty bright Stella Jones logo. And the only thing that I would add to this, if I was getting this image made again, is that I would have written out paranormal romance author, because a lot of times people see the logo and then they're still asking, hey, what is this about? So a lot of times the events will give me little descriptions, little titles, and I'll put that below, and it'll say Stella Jones Paranormal Romance. And so that way people are like, okay, that's what this is. This is a book brand, etc. But just having the logo there with that bright sign, people are attracted to that, and they come over, or I wave at them as they're going past. The other thing is that I don't necessarily like to talk to people, but I have to, because that's part of my brand. Is me being personable, me being welcoming. And so another thing that I would recommend for you is that you think about what your elevator pitch is, or your very brief description of your brand and your product, so that you can relay that in a very quick way. So for people who are walking by at events, I'll just say, hey, how you doing? Welcome to the event. How's it going so far? And people invariably want to talk. They want to tell you why they're there. They want to tell you why they love books. They want to tell you why they're at the festival. And then I can bring them over, or when they come over, I can say, hey, what's your favorite genre? What do you like to read? And they'll say, well, I don't necessarily like to read what you're writing, but I do like, et cetera, this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we can just get into a dialogue over that. And then I can say, well, this is what I write about. I write about a species of beings that are genetically wolves, but they can and do exist as humans. And when you meet them, they're emerging from this very barbaric war that decimates nearly the entire population of wolves. And they start to matriculate down from the point of origin of war now to a new city, and they start to reestablish themselves. So I have a very quick and descriptive idea of my universe that I can relate to them. And I have sold books to people who don't read romance, don't read paranormal, aren't interested in wolves, but they'll say, well, you know what? I have a granddaughter who reads, or I have a daughter who likes romance, and will buy the whole book bundle just based off of our discussion and this description. So don't feel like, oh, and don't look at people and say, oh, they don't read, historical fiction. You have no idea what people read at home. But if they're at book festivals or they're at festivals, they are open to whatever you have to offer. So don't write anybody off. Be open to the exchange. And the same thing when you're on social media. Make sure that you have a broad net, but that you're engaging. So work on it. Like, it took me a while to work on that little pitch that I just said there. But in one way, shape, or form, it comes across when I'm talking to people. And I may say that dozens or hundreds of times every event. And so you start to get really comfortable in that exchange. And don't worry if you're cold and you forget things at the beginning. The more you build on that little stump speech, the better off you're going to be. And then you can relay that on social media. And that really helps in terms of, getting people comfortable with your literary world and what you have to offer. So I just wanted to start that off with the tips, and stay tuned for another session where I'm going to talk about how I build out my books, how I create my books, and what platforms I use to create this paranormal world aesthetically. All right, see you guys soon. Peace.